Combining together every single ability, we got over 175 abilities, and today we're going to look at the 25 most annoying ones. And yes, they are in a particular order, so number 1 is what I believe to be the most annoying ability. Coming in at 25th place, we have Juno with Pulsar Torpedoes. First of all, the ability has auto-aim, and it targets all players on the screen, dealing 85 damage to enemies and healing over 100 to allies. That is too much value for just pressing E. Next up is Lucio's Soundwave. It's usually not that annoying, but on certain maps he can boop you and your allies off the map. And then it can become very annoying that the only thing he has to do is slightly position himself and press a right click. I'm not saying that it's unskillful, even though it requires a bit of skill, it's still annoying. Moving on to Symmetra's sentry turrets, they're small, they're flying around and they sound like this. Like, am I explaining turrets or mosquitoes? And they also slow you down, so you have to take them out before you can do anything else. Luckily, they have a pretty long cooldown. Then we have Hazard with his jagged wall that will completely block you off in tight areas, making you facing the enemy team by yourself, which isn't gonna end well. And it also has a bit too much health. For some heroes it's pretty much impossible to break it, but you can avoid it in most cases by just not being in tight areas. And next up is Junkrat's Steel Trap. The previous abilities requires at least a bit of skill, but I can't say that this one does. You're placing a trap by pressing E, and the reward you get is that an enemy will be immobilized and most likely be eliminated. The thing that is a bit crazy is that it also deals 100 damage, like immobilizing wasn't enough. Coming in at number 20, we have Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, which can completely shut down most ultimates. Imagine you're doing a nano blade and Reinhardt shuts you down, then he completely ruins 2 ultimates. Or he can just use it to stun enemies and eliminate them to win a team fight. And the range is weirdly long, however at least it's an ultimate to make it somewhat fair. This next one might be a little bit odd. It's Pharah's passive, Hover Jets, and hear me out. The thing that makes it annoying is that imagine that you're playing tank or maybe even support, then you're pretty much gonna pray that your DPS can handle it, because as a support or especially a tank, there isn't much you can do against a Pharah. Moving on to Cassidy's Flashbang, it hinders enemies, slowing them and disabling movement abilities. If you're playing any dive character, this ability alone will counter you. Around a third of all heroes are countered by this ability alone, so this is a very annoying ability for dive players. Then we have Mei with her Cryo Freeze. You 1v1 Mei and you're just about to get her, and then she presses shift and she's fully restored with ammo, health and abilities. She gets a second chance of life for no reason, plus she can use it to body block enemies and to shield allies. At least she can't move around with it. Next up is Wrecking Ball's Roll. It can boop you off the map, just like Lucio. It can be used to flee and you can't do critical hits on it. It's an annoying ball rolling around the map, knocking off people, and is very hard to deal with. The support yells at the team, "Hey tank," or "Hey DPS, Wrecking Ball is shredding us, can you please help us?" And we're like, no, we can't, we literally can't. Moving on to Moira with her Fade, and it's pretty similar to Mei's Shift, that you're about to get her and she presses Shift and escapes, but Moira can actually move around with her Shift, making it a bit more annoying. Then we have Tracer's Blink. It's exactly like when you're trying to catch a fly. When you strike, they're already gone. Tracer is the hardest character to deal with in the entire game in my opinion, and Doomfist agrees with me. That scene is literally how it feels to play against her. You're trying to figure out a pattern, and once you do, it's so satisfying. Next up is Kiriko's Swift Step, and it's the same as Moira's Fade, but she can travel a further distance. Moving on to Reaper with his Wrath form, which is very similar to the previous ones, but it's a bit more annoying because the entire weakness of shotguns are the distance, but not for Reaper because he can literally become invincible. Reaper has shotguns, which arguably is the easiest weapon to use. The weakness with them are distance, but he can literally teleport to the enemy and take them out, which shouldn't be a problem since he has lifesteal. And if he for some reason still wouldn't succeed, then he can literally become invincible, and it's not like May's invincibility where she has to stand still, no. Reaper can move around whilst being invincible, and it's not only that he can move around, he moves even faster than he would regularly do. The ultimate is press Q and you will eliminate anyone near you within a second or two. I was supposed to talk about his shift, but now I just mocked Reaper entirely. I'm sorry, Reaper fans. Reaper is actually very difficult to play. Okay, but seriously, Reaper isn't that easy. I know I made him sound easier than he actually is, but Reaper can be very difficult and I respect Reaper mains. I'm sorry. Then we have Venture's Burrow, and it's pretty much a combination of May and Moira's Shift, but this one is the last escaping ability. Or is it? Entering top 10 with Ana's Sleep Dot, it stuns enemies similar to Reinhardt's Earth Shadow, but this isn't an ultimate, it's a regular ability. I think we've all had this feeling where we're about to do the coolest thing in the world, and then Ana just says, "No you're not, it's way past your bedtime." Next up is Ashe Ultimate, Bob. She literally brings in another player to their team, and he can actually contest objectives, which is the most annoying part. Then you're just gonna stand there and wait for him to jump away. Moving on to Sombra's Hack, it can cancel most ults, but compared to Reinhardt's Earth Shadow, this is a regular ability, and compared to Ana's Sleep Dot, this is a lock-on ability, so you can't even miss. Plus the cooldown is so low that it pretty much doesn't even exist. Then we have Zarya's Graviton Surge, and it honestly, I wish I was joking, but it's quite honestly just press Q and you win a team fight. Like, I'm not too far off, am I? And she can also use it to ruin most ultimates. Just short for top 5, at number 6 we have Junkrat's Riptire. Junkrat has 2 abilities on the list, will we see a third? No, we won't. You can break the Riptire, and yes, when we play at the higher ranks it happens more and more often, but if we're going to look at the average rank, then it almost never gets destroyed. In those lobbies, it's pretty much guaranteed to get 2 eliminations, which most likely will win you the team fight. At top 5 we have May's Ice Wall. She can use it to block ultimates, she can use it to shield allies, she can use it to get high grounds, she can use it to flank, and most importantly, she can use it to block you off so you're alone against the entire enemy team. Sounds quite annoying, does it? Yeah, I agree. Then we have Mauga's Cage. He goes to the enemy's most important player and isolates himself with them, exactly like Mordekaiser's Death Realm, but Mauga can do it with more than one enemy if he wants to, and you can probably see who's going to win. At third place is Sombra with her Translocator. She throws it like an ender pearl and teleports to that location and becomes invisible. Every game has a character that can become invisible for some reason, and it's always the top 5 most hated character no matter the game. It's pretty hard to see you when you're invisible. Moving on to second place with Zenyatta's Transcendence, it makes him and his team pretty much invincible for 6 seconds. The thing is that he can completely ignore close to if not every single ultimate in the game and his team, so either you use your ultimate and it gets countered, thus it becomes useless, or you keep your ultimate, thus it becomes useless. Graviton Surge, which is one of the most OP ultimates, becomes completely useless against Zenyatta. And on the first place, the most annoying ability in the entire game, in my opinion, is Lifeweaver's Life Grip. It's pretty much Transcendence, but a regular ability. Yes, it only targets one target, but he can use it so often. If you're in any situation, then you're fine because Lifeweaver will save you. And it's one of few abilities, the other one being Maze Ice Wall, that can actually be annoying for your team as well, because if you have a troll on your team, he can literally drag you into the enemy team or off the map, or when you use your ultimate to ruin it, but that can also happen accidentally if your team has bad communication. If we look at League of Legends character Thresh, he has a similar ability, but the ally must accept to travel with him, but not with this ability. This was my list, and remember that it was just my personal opinion, it's not based on facts, just for entertainment, but I would like to hear what you think is the most annoying ability, so comment down below, and thanks for watching, and goodbye.